Years ago, I read a book written by Paul Pilzer. Now, Paul's an amazing man. He actually lives right here in Park City, Utah now, and he was on the cover of over 100 magazines. In fact, he was the youngest graduate of Wharton University at 19 years old, and was a personal economic advisor for President Reagan and Bush 1. And his book changed my view of economics, and I think that one of the biggest challenges we have today is that people think that we live in a world of scarcity. If you open up any book on economics and you read the definition of economics is the division of scarce resources, which is a fallacy. There's enough raw resources in this world where every one of us could have a beautiful home, all the clothes we could ever eat, all the clothes we could ever wear, all the food we could ever eat. And the challenge is we think that the only way for us to get ahead is to take, is to destroy, is to push somebody else down. Why? Because we think that we live in a world of scarcity, and we don't. You know, we believe that we have to destroy another company in order for this company to succeed. If you go back hundreds of years, in fact, up until 500 years ago, the world, most people thought the world was flat. In fact, even before that, you talk to an astrologer, and you ask the astrologer, you say, what is an astrologer? What do you do? What's the definition of astrology? And he would say, well, we study how the sun and the planets and the stars revolve around the earth. And the very definition of what they did precluded them from understanding the truth that the earth wasn't the center of the universe. And the same thing is true today. The very definition of economics precludes people from understanding the truth that we don't live in a world of scarcity. That it's not the division of scarce resources. And once you understand that, then you can start to find ways to create money. In fact, you know, the thing I love about the English language is the fact that we use the word to make money, to create. And every single company that I've had, everything that I do, it's not a mentality of how do I cannibalize something else to be able to bring value over here. It's literally how do I create value for other people in a way where they receive so much more value than the money that they pay in return for that value that they received. And that's something that we can all do. In fact, I love a story about 10 men on an island. These 10 men, every day these 10 men go out and they go fishing. And they fish for the food for them. They come back and they feed their families. And one day, two of these men come up with this brilliant idea. This idea is that of a net. And they spend their evenings while everybody else is sitting around the campfire doing nothing. And they're with their wives and they're sewing this net. And pretty soon they've got this tool, this advancement in technology, that they're able to go out and catch enough fish for the entire island. Now, the problem that you have is 80% unemployment. And our past administration would have taxed those two men 80% of their fish to feed the rest of the island. Yet a well-functioning economy would be one where one of those displaced workers would get better at building huts, one would get better at building boats, one would get better at educating the children, and lifestyle as a whole of the entire island would increase because of the fact that two men came up with the idea of creating a net. And we live in a world today where we have, every one of us live like kings, literally. You think of 500 or 600 or 700 years ago. How did the kings and queens of the world live versus how you and I live? Almost all of us. You know, if you've got a refrigerator in your house, if you've got air conditioning, if you've got carpeting, then you've got a fantastic lifestyle because of the fact that people were able to use their creativity to come up with a net. That, yes, it's going to displace certain workers, but if I read another book once called Who Moved My Cheese? And realized that in our lifetime, a lot of us are going to go through multiple different careers because of displacement. And that's not a bad thing. It's something that allows us as an economy, as a world, as a community to get so much more wealth and more prosperity because of that. So, and another thing too, the future is awesome. There's a direct correlation between the speed of communication and advancement in technology. And and you look back at the time where the printing press was created, and all of a sudden now you could take a book and mass create it so that other people could be educated, and then that ability to communicate with others increased exponentially the faster that technology increased. Well, now we live in a world where technology is through the roof compared to what it was 10 years ago, and the speed of communication as well. And the fact that both of them are moving at such a rapid speed, our lives 10 years from now will be more advanced and more different in technology and some fabulous things that we can enjoy in our life than the changes that we've seen in the last 50 years. And so don't be afraid of technological change, and don't sit back and think that the only way for you to get ahead is to take from others. Realize that we live in a world of unlimited wealth. We live in a world of massive prosperity. We live in a world where all you have to do is figure out how to create massive value for the lives of other people, and you'll receive fantastic blessings financially back to you as well.